Hey everybody, and welcome back to the vlog. This is going to be a different type of vlog. Nobody's ever done a vlog like this. I know it. Just ask me. Has anybody ever done a vlog like this? And my answer would be, hell no. This should be in the Guinness Book of World Records. That's what this should be. Okay, so the movie is going fast now. It's things are happening. So, as I said before, um, the rights to the book, Cop Without a Badge, which is available on Amazon, is many stories. There's at least a dozen feature film stories in that book. That book was written in 1994, I believe. And a whole bunch of stuff has happened since 1984, 1994. Um, so I'm going to go down. So this is what is going on right now. I have a great deal of empathy for the writer, the screenwriter, which is Rob Port. He won an Oscar. I think I may have said an Academy Award. No, he won an Oscar for his movie Twin Towers, which was made in 2003, I believe, about what happened at 9/11. A great guy. I met him, very enthusiastic. In fact, he's the only person that I've ever met in my life that I had to tell him, calm down, calm down. He was that juiced up, friggin', and no, not juiced up on drugs. He was like friggin' really showed a great deal of passion for this story or stories. And that's why I'm going to ask you guys for some help. Um, when I wrote the book, when I co-authored that book with the other guy, Kips, um, he was very much concerned about chronology. And when you tell a story, you got to tell them. So there's a lot of stories in my life, even back then, that I couldn't remember. Did that one come before this one? Did that one? In fact, it got so mixed up that he wrote a couple of chapters, and then I said this story, and he said, "Wait a minute, that's impossible." Then he had to rewrite the whole 3 or 4 chapters or whatever he did. You know, um, so the studio owner, not the well, he's the CEO and the owner, um, was was very charged about this project. I mean, I've never had met a studio owner before in my life. I mean, but this guy insisted to meet me, and we did. And he's very much into the car chases. Which anyway, so if I don't see so what they want to do is 3 movies, 3 feature films, and then go right into a television series, which I always thought this was more of a TV series than a movie. I mean, because which you have 110 minutes, which equals 110 pages on a script. How do you tell that story? I don't know, and that's the issue that I'm going to assume be having when we start writing this screenplay. So we're going to have to start in the beginning with the car chase. Chapter 1 starts off with a high-speed car chase with me driving a 1969 Plymouth Roadrunner. Maybe it actually had a horn like the cartoon character. This particular car I stole because I had a 69 Roadrunner that I blew up. So I took the VIN number off. I stole this car. And this car had under the hood a 426 Hemi with a 4-speed, with a 354 gear ratio Dana rear, which means this is a highway car. This is a highway car right here. This is the car that literally made me famous. it made me famous. Me in this car. Look, I can imagine getting behind the wheel. I'm 70 years old and I still play with cars. I love this car. This is the car that's in the book, the 1969 Roadrunner. So it was a wild chase for 100 miles. So we're going to start with that. And that chase took place November 19th, 1971. And it took place on the Bronx River Parkway at the last exit, which is 233rd Street. And then past that, they chased me 98 miles to the Catskill Mountains, cracked up 4 police cars. It was a wild chase. It was wild. So that's going to be in. I can't. That is going to be in. So now, as a direct result of that, I get 4 years in prison. I go to prison, and there was a bunch of stories in there too. But I go to prison, and I come out in 1973. Then I hook up with Roy DeMeo and Joey Bricchini. They didn't know who they were. In 1973, Roy DeMeo was a nobody. I think it was about November. I met him in 1973. And then I went back to prison sometime in November or December of 1974. So I knew the guy a whole year. So, and this is a big story. And it's all around the right time. I came out of prison, I met him, and then we did a bunch of things. And then he gives me a car to get rid of in East River. And I did in 1974. On my way to the river from South Jamaica, Queens, I started smelling the unmistakable odor of a decomposing body. I was followed by another mob guy so that he could drive me back after I towed a car in the river under the 59th Street Bridge. I did it. And it haunted me for 50 years. Then I found out. I only found out what Roy DeMeo turned into on YouTube just a few years ago. I didn't know. I didn't know what he turned into. He had a 10-year reign that he was murdering people, most for sport, and he chopped them up and threw them in a fountain. So he's a very big character. I think. In fact, I know on my channel, every time I put a story about him up, everybody likes it. But I don't like it. I don't like him. Anyway, so I put the car in the water. And then what did I do then? 50 years later, I go back and I try to find that car. All the diving experts said, that's impossible. It's going to be splattered all over. I said, how could that be possible? It's got a big block motor. That didn't just melt away. So I got a couple of dive teams exploring with Nug and his partner there. They come up and we find the car and we positively identified it. I did a bunch of videos on it. And so then after that, after we find the car, I was hit up by some of my viewers and a guy by the name of Thomas, forget his last name, he's going to kill me. Messaged me and said, I know who was in that trunk. Now, let me back up. So once this came to fruition in my mind that I got to get a diver, I want to get that car. It was right in plain view, right under the 59th Street Bridge, north side, Queens side. I knew where it was exactly. And you know why? Because I was so nervous after smelling that body for 20 minutes. I fucking threw the car in with the headlights on. And it lit up the whole friggin' East River. So I know exactly where I parked that car 50 years, and we found it. And we found the steering wheel that was exclusive to that year, make and model. We found the dashboard, same thing, exclusive. So, and it was exactly where I said it, even though the electronic equipment couldn't pick it up because it was all rusted and all effed up. That's a great story. Then I researched what mobster went missing in late 1974 in New York. New York. I was so New York. And the answer was nobody. Nope. Every mobster that was killed in 1974, bodies were recovered. There was no missing. There was one 15-year-old kid from Long Island, but that's not associated with this story. So, sure enough, he says, I found out who was missing. He went on some website, the missing adult missing serve, and boom, it was Nicholas Masucci, who on September, I think it was 18th, 1974, went missing. But anyone who was reported missing in New Jersey, that's why I didn't know. I'm not a computer guru like some of you guys are. Then I searched for his daughter, I should say, Thomas did, and found her. She's been on many of my videos. And so she too is pretty much convinced that this is her dad. This is what happened to him. So we have that story. Now, in the same time period, when I get paroled, as I'm walking out the door, I meet this woman by the name of Elizabeth Escher. I meet her as I'm going out, Greenhaven. She's in the visiting office, visiting none other than Brian Melise, who was convicted of killing his wife's friend, and murdering the wife's friend's 5-year-old little boy, Harold, by way of a 14-inch rated kitchen knife, decapitating the little boy. That's who this is. Now I'm going to go down a list of all the famous murderers and criminals and like that I was involved with, because now it's coming to the story. So when I wind up meeting Beth outside in Fairlawn, New Jersey, I find out that her husband is locked up for a double murder, in a murder in Queens and a murder in Manhattan. He murdered a famous singer. He had an affair. Well, I don't want to get into all of that, but anyway, that was a murder case. So the DA's office in Manhattan, Robert Morgenthau at the time, wanted me. And then who was the other guy? He was the same prosecutor that prosecuted the guy that killed John Lennon. His name escapes me now, but it's in one of my other videos. So they asked me to do the single most dangerous thing imaginable, to romance a jailed mafia hitman's wife. Now, when I came out of jail, I became an informant for the FBI and the NYPD, and that DA's office squad. So I didn't have any experience in doing this, and I did it. And what happens then? I really did fall in love with her. And then what happens? I got evidence that helped convict her husband of a double or triple murder. I forget which one it was. He had 2 murders in Queens and 1 in Manhattan, where Donna Hodge, his husband, was. Anyway, so it was a big story. How big was the story? Well, this magazine right here did an in-depth article about it. And right here it says, deadly mission, seduce a mob killer's wife. So I gotta be careful. So they did a whole story, like 10 pages, maybe more than that. That's me over here on the right, my right, your left. And it says, deadly mission, seduce a mob killer's wife. Right there, that's it. Boom, boom, next page. Bing. There it is. And then it goes on. I'll read an excerpt from it. Today, I told Robert that I was physically attracted to you, said Beth R. Beth said, Ma looked at her in horror. I did. Fucking guy killed 3 people. Now I'm with his wife. Fucking flying. And he wants to see you. I had to go to Rikers Island to see him. You can see what. So it goes on and on and on. So this is the March 1996 issue of this magazine. I don't want to say the name because it might block me out or something. But anyway, so that editor at the time was a guy by the name of Bob Gucciani, and then the other guy was the editor of Penthouse magazine, which is I forget his name. Everybody's laughing at me right now. I can't think of his name. He just recently died. Hugh Hefner. So they both wanted to do this story. It was called First Serial to that book right over there. I mean, the same thing, 2 different publishers. So we settled for this one because they paid $16,000 as opposed to Playboy's $8,000. And I wanted Playboy. I didn't really want, because Playboy, a lot of people buy Playboy for their great stories. And when they buy this magazine, it's for definitely a different reason. So, um, very compelling story. I really fell in love with Beth. I raised the murderous son, Bobby Escher, as though he was my own for 13 and a half years, that relationship. But, so the first movie is either going to be this story, or it may be the Roy DeMeo story. But as far so I don't even think the studio knows what they want to do. I don't, and I what are they going to do? They're going to have to make a decision soon because this guy's writing the script now. He just got a contract offer. This guy Rob Port. So let me just go down a list of all the people that I was involved with and see how many you know or heard of. As far as gangsters go, the first one on the list here would be Roy DeMeo. Second one, these are mafia guys that were bona fide, certified mafia guys. Joey Bikini, my great friend, great man, love him. God rest in peace. I just love the guy. The guy was just everything. Mad Dog Sullivan and Brian Malise, who was the man that decapitated a 5-year-old boy. Okay, let's go down to serial killers, which Roy DeMeo really was, Joel Rifkin, who they say at the time was the most prolific serial killer in New York's history. I don't know how the NYPD can say that and then say Roy DeMeo killed 200 people, but Joel Rifkin was confirmed of killing 17 women. It was confirmed. They told them where the bodies were. They found it. It was confirmed. Roy DeMeo's wasn't. He was never charged for any murder. He never even got locked up once in his life, that guy. So, and that's a very interesting story. In fact, I was on the Maury Povich show. He murdered my girlfriend. I stopped him in a murder attempt. It's a very fucking interesting story. Ronald Schofield was a guy I met through Brian Malise. Ronald went on to murder a prostitute in Midtown Manhattan while he was on work release, and I locked him up. The other interesting character in my life is none other than this one right here. No, we don't even have Daniel Stott. Okay, yeah. Hold on, I'm gonna get it. By the way, this is my first wife, Beth. That's her. She's in the book too. You guys got to get the book. Then you won't be asking me all these stupid questions about him. Not that he's uninteresting. I just don't like. The next person that's interesting in my life is my second wife. Her name is Danielle Staub. That's her right there. That's her 1986 FBI mugshot, where she was charged with kidnapping, assault with a deadly weapon, 8 bombs, 15 kilos of cocaine, and I think 65 grand worth of cocaine. There was a lawsuit in 2009. You guys can look it up. Marr versus Staub, STAUB, U.S. District Court in Los Angeles. Got a bunch of press. I was on MTV. I was on all the television shows, TMZ, U.S. Us Magazine, all of them. People's Magazine. That's what triggered the lawsuit. So she is pretty interesting that one. And of course, the last one we already discussed was Robert Escher, the hitman, and Elizabeth Escher, aka Elizabeth Marr, and now AKA Elizabeth O'Rourke, who now lives in Naples, Florida, with the guy she cheated on me with, Richard O'Rourke. Hope you have a. She's 79 years old now. I know, no, 78. She'll be 79 in January 1st. So, very interesting people. This is only like scratches the surface. These are all names that a lot of people have heard of. So, my dilemma, what I'm going to be asking you viewers to do is which story should we go first, especially people that have read the book. I I'm torn. I really want to do the Roy DeMeo because of what we did. We kept that story going for 50 years, found the car, all on video. Go to the Exploring with Nugs channel, you'll see it. I mean, it's unbelievable. My confrontation with a lieutenant from the 114th precinct he retired as Dogbone, Lieutenant Dogbone. I mean, you can't make this shit up. And that's why Hollywood bought my story. Ease. That's going to be three major motion pictures. So we're going to be actually doing the screenplay now. It's going to be now. So if you guys could comment below and ask which story do you think I should go with? The one in chronological order, which would be the car chase in 1971, me meeting Beth in 1973. Which one? No, actually, it was 74. Which one do you guys think we should roll with? That's what I'm asking you. And I'm gonna put this. This is Sunday. What is this? 13th. I'm gonna put this thing right up. I know I should space it out, but I really don't have any time to fool around. I want to know what you people, especially you guys that have been following the channel from its inception 3.5 years ago, which story do you think? The Roy DeMeo story or the Elizabeth Eshard Marr and now O'Rourke? That's whichever her name is. Yeah. Okay, so please like and subscribe. Pick up a copy of this. You can still get this online if you want this. It's pretty interesting stories, you know. So to all you Roy DeMeo, this is not a Roy DeMeo story. I had one viewer say, "Well, when is the Roy DeMeo movie gonna come out?" It's not a Roy DeMeo movie. He's in my story. I'm not in his story. That's been dead 41 years. I'm gonna hate that guy. Anyway, like, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.